Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. We will continue our discussion on verse 434 of the Holy Quran, which is about the marital rights of husbands and wives and many of their dealings, which are misunderstood typically. So we have talked about the meaning of qawam, the meaning of nushuz, and now we will move on and talk about some other details which are in this verse. So the traditional interpretation of Wazribuhunna is very controversial, as it says in the Quran that if you fear desertion, admonish them and leave them alone in the beds and chastise them. So this word Wazribuhunna has been misunderstood and misused a lot. Are there other ways that we can understand this verse or this word in light of the overall message of the Quran and the practice of our blessed Prophet?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This question is very important and very, as you said, controversial. The word itself, idrib, in Vadribuhunna, is the word which has several meanings and is used in many contexts, and therefore has several translations of it. This word is very, in every context, will have a different meaning. The word itself, idrib, is used in so many different places, and everywhere you will see it appears and has a different impact of the word. If you use the word, it can mean to move them away from committing a sin, or removing them away from you by divorce. When we look at all translations of this verse, which were done, say, about 100 years ago, and one that I will mention is by Maulana Muhammad Ali of Ahmadi Anjuman Nishat Islam. In his Urdu translation, it says marna, which means to beat, which is used in quite a lot of translations. And in English translation, it says chastise them. Others gave similar translations of this word. In some recent English translations by Muslims in different translation has been given of Vadribuhunna. Laila Bakhtiar says, in her translation of the word, go away from them. Then Safi Kaskas and David Hungerford have said, depart away from them. Then Kamal Umar says, bring forward to them the suggestion of dissolving the marriage. And Tahirul Qadri, a well-known Pakistani scholar, has written as strike a temporary parting. I wrote something about it, and so it says strike it. It doesn't mean that strike your wife or strike. It's a striking a separation, what he is saying. Temporary parting, a temporary parting, strike a temporary, not strike by hitting, is not that meaning. So in the commentary of the Holy Quran by Maulana Muhammad Ali, it says that if she still persists, chastisement is permitted as a last resort. Regarding this last remedy, two things must be, however, be borne in mind. Firstly, is a mere permission and saying of the Prophet makes it clear that though allowed, it was discouraged in practice. Although it was allowed, but it was discouraged in practice. Thus, the Prophet is reported to have said on the complaint of certain women as to the ill treatment of their husband by their husbands, and Rasulullah says, you will not find these men as the best men among you. So, of something which already was causing problems, Rasulullah has said at that time that you will not find these men as the best among you. So it is, according to Shafi, preferably not to resort to just chastisement of the wife. In fact, as the injunction of the Quran, as wide in their scope, the example of the Holy Prophet and his constant exhortations for kind treatment towards women, so much so that he made man's good treatment of his wife a gauge of his goodness in general. The best of you is he who is best to his wife.
Right.
And it is clear from the Quran that the examples of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that we see in today's society the treatment of women and deterioration of practices which were for centuries in Islam. We as women need to get together with help of learned men to look at these practices and how to use them for the benefit of our societies, and especially women living in the 21st century. So there is a need of the time that we look at these words deeply and we look at them, how they are used and abused. Every day we see that. And wherever you are in the world, women are throughout the world, but their treatment by men, you can say men of faith as well, are not really what they should be. So it is a very sensitive word and a very difficult word for us to really look and understand to how we go about using it today.
Absolutely. Jazakallah. And I'm also thinking about the example of the Blessed Prophet, peace be upon him, that as we read the Holy Quran, we learn about, times when there was some kind of discord in the family. His practice was to separate.
Yes.
And give himself time and give them time and give them choices, whether they wanted to stay with him or leave him. So that seems to reflect, what the Quranic teaching is. Like Hazrat Aisha remarked that the Holy Prophet, his manners, his morals were the Quran. It was his job to set a living example for us. So what you said really resonates with what, the Blessed Prophet's example. We never hear of him ever striking anyone, whether it was a servant or a wife or a child or anybody else. So Jazakallah, thank you so much. That's really illuminating. And definitely, I feel we should have more discussions within our families on this topic.
Absolutely.
We will still continue our discussion of this verse in the next program. So thank you all for joining. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.